They say love finds you when you least expect it. I never believed that. Not really. Until that summer when everything changed. I was 17, caught between childhood and adulthood, when my family decided to spend the summer in a small seaside town. I wasn't thrilled. Who would be? All my friends were planning exciting vacations, while I was going to spend 2 months in a place that felt stuck in time. But those 2 months would change everything. The house we stayed in was old, with creaky floors and a wraparound porch that looked out over the ocean. I could hear the waves crashing at night, but instead of feeling peaceful, it made me feel more alone. It was just me, my parents, and my younger brother, who always seemed too caught up in his own world of comic books to care. It was on the 3rd day, I think, when I saw her. I had gone to the beach early, hoping to avoid the midday crowds. The sun had just risen, casting a soft golden glow over the sand. The air smelled of salt. I was walking along the shore, letting the waves lap at my feet, when I spotted her, standing on the rocks just beyond the tide. She was looking out to sea, her long hair dancing in the wind, the light catching in her eyes. She looked ethereal, like she belonged to the ocean itself. I don't know what made me do it, but I walked towards her, unsure if I should interrupt whatever moment she seemed to be having. Before I could say anything, she turned to me and smiled. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said, her voice soft but clear, like the sound of the sea at dawn. I nodded, feeling self-conscious. "Yeah," I replied. "It's peaceful." For a moment, we just stood there, side by side, listening to the ocean. I didn't know her name. I didn't know where she came from. But somehow, none of that seemed to matter. There was something about her presence, something calming, like I had known her forever. "I'm Lily," she said after a long pause, holding out her hand. Her skin was warm from the sun, and when I touched her, it felt like I was grounding myself after drifting in the waves for too long. "I'm Alex," I reply, giving her a small smile. From that day on, we spent almost every morning together. Sometimes, we would walk along the shore, talking about nothing in particular. Other times, we would sit in silence, just watching the waves. With Lily, words didn't feel necessary. She had this way of making everything seem simple, easy, like I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't. Slowly, I started to realize I was falling for her. But there was something about Lily I couldn't figure out. She never talked about herself much. Every time I asked where she lived or how long she had been in town, she would change the subject. And when I pressed her, she would just smile that same soft smile and say, "Does it really matter?" Maybe it didn't. At least, not then. One evening, near the end of the summer, we decided to watch the sunset together. The sky was painted in hues of orange, pink, and purple. The waves catching the colors and reflecting them back like a mirror. We sat on the rocks, our shoulders brushing, and I couldn't help but think how perfect it all felt. "Lily," I said, breaking the silence this summer, "I don't know what I would have done without you." She looked at me, her eyes shining in the fading light. "You would have been fine, Alex," she said quietly. "You don't need me." "But I do," I replied, the words slipping out before I could stop them. "I don't know what it is, but I think I love you." She didn't say anything for a moment, just stared out at the ocean, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Alex, you don't even know me." "I know enough," I said, feeling a pit form in my stomach. "Why do you always say things like that? Like you're not real, like none of this is real." She turned to me then, her eyes filled with something I couldn't quite place, sadness, maybe, or regret. "Because," she said softly, "sometimes the best things in life aren't meant to last." And with that, she stood up, brushing the sand off her dress. I reached out for her hand, desperate to hold on to her, but she stepped back, shaking her head. "I have to go," she whispered, her voice breaking slightly. "Go? Go where?" I asked, my heart pounding. "What are you talking about?" She didn't answer. Instead, she leaned down, pressing a soft kiss to my forehead. "Goodbye, Alex," she whispered against my skin. And then, before I could say anything else, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the twilight. I ran after her, but when I reached the spot where she had been, she was gone. It was as if she had vanished into thin air, like she had never been there at all. I spent the rest of the summer searching for her. Every morning, I went to the beach, hoping to see her standing on the rocks again. But she never came back. It was as if she had been a dream, a fleeting moment of magic in an otherwise ordinary world. Now, looking back, I wonder if maybe she was. Maybe Lily was never meant to stay. Maybe she was like the ocean, beautiful, powerful, and impossible to hold on to. But even though she's gone, I can still feel her sometimes, in the sound of the waves, in the smell of the sea breeze. And I know, deep down, that she'll always be a part of me, a summer's whisper that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.